Discovery of the alien artifact. The year was 2157, and humanity had taken its first tentative steps into the solar system. Mars colonies were thriving, the Moon was a bustling hub of commerce and research, and asteroid mining operations were fueling Earth's ever-growing hunger for resources. But despite these advancements, humans had yet to encounter any signs of alien life. That was about to change. Samantha Chen, a 28-year-old xenoarchaeologist, stood at the viewport of the research vessel Curiosity, staring out at the pockmarked surface of Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Her breath fogged the reinforced glass as she leaned in, excitement building in her chest. After years of theories and debates, they were about to confirm the existence of an alien structure buried deep beneath Europa's icy crust. "Dr. Chen, we're ready to begin the final descent," Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom. "You might want to strap in." Samantha nodded, even though the captain couldn't see her, and made her way to the bridge. As she secured herself into one of the acceleration couches, she caught the eye of Dr. Omer Khalil, the mission's senior physicist. He gave her a nervous smile. "Nervous, Amar?" she asked, trying to keep her own voice steady. "Terrified," he admitted with a chuckle. "But in a good way. We're about to make history after all." The Curiosity shuddered as it entered Europa's thin atmosphere. Samantha closed her eyes, picturing the alien structure they had detected with their advanced sensors. It was roughly cylindrical, about the size of a football field, and buried under nearly 10 kilometers of ice. Whatever it was, it had been there for millions of years, predating human civilization by eons. As the ship touched down on the icy surface, Samantha's mind raced with possibilities. Was it a ship, a base, or something beyond their comprehension? She had dedicated her life to understanding alien cultures, but now, faced with the reality of actual alien artifacts, she felt woefully unprepared. The next few hours were a blur of activity. The crew deployed their specialized drilling equipment, designed to cut through Europa's ice without contaminating any potential subsurface ocean. Samantha watched the progress on the monitors, her heart pounding as they drew closer and closer to the alien structure. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they breached the cavern containing the artifact. The camera feed flickered to life, revealing a massive, sleek object that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "My God," Amol whispered beside her. "It's beautiful." Samantha could only nod, words failing her. The artifact was clearly artificial, its smooth lines and symmetrical design speaking of an intelligence far beyond their own. But what truly caught her attention was a small opening near the base of the structure, just large enough for a human to enter. "We need to go in," she said, her voice filled with determination. Captain Rodriguez frowned. "Dr. Chen, we haven't run any safety protocols yet. We don't know what's in there." "With all due respect, Captain, this is what we came here for," Samantha argued. "We can't just sit here and stare at it. Every moment we wait is a moment wasted." After a heated debate, it was decided that Samantha and Amur would lead a small team into the structure. As they donned their protective suits and prepared to leave the ship, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to step into a new chapter of human history. The journey across Europa's surface was treacherous, but Samantha barely noticed the danger. Her eyes were fixed on the alien structure looming before them, its dark surface a stark contrast to the icy white landscape surrounding it. As they approached the entrance, Samantha's suit sensors began picking up strange energy readings. "Amur, are you seeing this?" she asked over the comm. "Yes," he replied, his voice tight with excitement. "It's like nothing I've ever encountered before. The energy signature is impossible." Samantha took a deep breath and stepped into the alien structure. The moment she crossed the threshold, she felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. The interior was dark, but as they moved further in, soft blue lights began to flicker to life along the walls. "It's responding to our presence," Amir observed, his scientific mind already racing with theories. They made their way deeper into the structure, marveling at the alien architecture. The walls were covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as they walked past. Samantha reached out to touch one and gasped as it reacted to her touch, swirling into new configurations. "This technology, it's beyond anything we've ever imagined," she murmured. As they rounded a corner, they found themselves in a vast chamber. In the center stood a pedestal, and atop it rested what appeared to be a suit of armor. But this was no medieval relic. The armor was sleek, almost liquid in appearance, with lines of pulsing energy running through it. Samantha approached the pedestal, drawn by an inexplicable force. As she got closer, the armor began to glow brighter, responding to her presence. "Sam, wait," Amir called out, but it was too late. Samantha reached out and touched the armor. In an instant, it seemed to come alive, flowing over her hand and up her arm. She tried to pull away, but the armor moved too quickly, enveloping her entire body in seconds. For a moment, panic threatened to overwhelm her. But then, as the armor settled into place, a sense of calm washed over her. Information flooded her mind, the history of an ancient alien race, the purpose of the armor, and the threat that was coming. Sam, are you all right?" Amoa's panicked voice broke through her reverie. Samantha opened her eyes, seeing the world through the armor's advanced sensors. She felt stronger, faster, more alive than she ever had before. "I'm fine, Amoa," she said, her voice steady and confident. "But we need to get back to Earth. Now." "Why? What's wrong?" Samantha turned to face her colleague, the armor's faceplate retracting to reveal her determined expression. "Because," she said gravely, "we're about to be invaded, and I might be humanity's only hope." As they rushed back to the ship, Samantha's mind raced with the knowledge imparted by the alien armor. The artifact's creators, an ancient race called the progenitors, had seeded the galaxy with these suits of armor, meant to be found by species on the brink of interstellar travel. It was a test, a way to determine if a species was worthy of joining a greater galactic community. But there was another race out there, one that sought to destroy any potential rivals before they could rise to power. And now, with the activation of the armor, Earth had just painted a target on itself. As the Curiosity broke orbit around Europa, heading back to Earth at maximum speed, Samantha knew that the fate of humanity now rested on her shoulders. The armor had chosen her, and she would have to quickly master its incredible powers if she hoped to save her species from annihilation. The journey back to Earth would take weeks, even at their fastest speed. It would be a race against time, with Samantha and her team struggling to understand the alien technology and prepare humanity for the coming storm. But as she looked out at the stars, feeling the power of the armor thrumming through her body, Samantha felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity had faced extinction before, had overcome impossible odds throughout its history. And now, with the help of this alien gift, they would do so again. The invasion was coming, but Earth would be ready. As Jupiter's massive form receded behind them, Samantha made a silent vow. She would master this armor, unlock its secrets, and stand as humanity's shield against the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and Samantha Chen, once a simple xenoarchaeologist, now stood at its center, humanity's unlikely champion. Awakening of the armor's power. The journey back to Earth was a blur of activity and revelation for Samantha. As the Curiosity hurtled through space, she spent every waking moment exploring the capabilities of the alien armor. It was as if she had been reborn, her senses heightened to an almost painful degree, her mind processing information at speeds she had never thought possible. Captain Rodriguez had quarantined her in one of the ship's labs, more out of concern for her safety than fear of contamination. Samantha didn't mind. She needed the space and privacy to come to terms with her transformation. The armor's not just a protective shell, she explained to Amor through the lab's communication system. It's a symbiote, a living technology that's bonding with my body and mind on a cellular level. Amur's face on the screen looked both fascinated and concerned. "Is it changing you, Sam?" She paused, considering the question. "Yes and no. I'm still me, but more. It's like I've tapped into a wellspring of knowledge and power I never knew existed." As she spoke, Samantha willed the armor to shift, watching in amazement as it flowed like liquid metal, forming complex structures before seamlessly reintegrating into her suit. The progenitors designed it to adapt to any situation, any threat, but it takes time to fully sync with its host. "And the invasion?" Amir asked, his voice tense. "How long do we have?" Samantha's expression darkened. "Not long enough. A few months, maybe less." The armor's activation sent out a signal, a beacon to both our potential allies and our enemies. We need to be ready when they arrive. Over the next few weeks, Samantha pushed herself to the limit, testing the armor's capabilities in the confined space of the lab. She discovered she could manipulate energy fields, generate force shields, and even alter her own molecular structure to phase through solid objects. The armor enhanced her strength and speed to superhuman levels, and its built-in weapon systems were beyond anything humanity had ever developed. But it was the neural interface that truly amazed her. The armor didn't just respond to her conscious commands. It anticipated her needs, reacting to threats faster than she could perceive them. In simulated combat scenarios, she found herself moving with a grace and precision that seemed impossible. As they approached Earth orbit, Samantha felt a mixture of excitement and dread. She knew that convincing the world's governments of the impending threat would be challenging, but the evidence stored within her armor was irrefutable. The Curiosity docked at the International Space Station, where a team of scientists and military personnel were waiting to debrief them. As Samantha stepped out of the airlock, still wearing the alien armor, she could see the mixture of awe and fear in their eyes. Dr. Chen, a stern-looking woman in a military uniform, greeted her. "I'm General Laura Hayes, United Earth Defense Force. We need to talk." The next few days were a whirlwind of debriefings, tests, and heated discussions. Samantha demonstrated the armor's capabilities, shared the knowledge of the coming invasion, and argued passionately for immediate action to prepare Earth's defenses. "We're not just facing a technologically superior enemy," she explained to a room full of world leaders and military commanders. "We're up against a force that has wiped out countless civilizations across the galaxy. But the progenitors gave us this armor for a reason. They believe we have the potential to stand against this threat." Despite the initial skepticism, the undeniable evidence of the alien armor and the looming threat eventually convinced even the most doubtful leaders. A global state of emergency was declared, and resources were poured into planetary defense and weapons development. Samantha found herself at the center of these efforts, working tirelessly with scientists and engineers to reverse engineer the armor's technology. But progress was slow, and she knew that no matter how hard they worked, Earth's defenses would pale in comparison to the invaders' capabilities. 1 month after their return, as Samantha was overseeing the construction of a new planetary defense grid, she felt a sudden surge of energy coursing through the armor. A holographic display sprang to life before her eyes, showing a fleet of ships entering the solar system. "They're here," she whispered, her heart racing. "Sooner than we expected." Alarms blared across the facility as Earth's long-range sensors confirmed what Samantha already knew. The invasion had begun. As chaos erupted around her, Samantha felt an eerie calm settle over her. This was what the armor had prepared her for. She was humanity's best hope, their shield against the coming storm. "General Hayes," she called over the comm system. "I'm heading to the front lines. Have our forces ready to engage on my signal." Before anyone could protest, Samantha activated the armor's flight systems. With a burst of energy, she soared into the sky, streaking towards the edge of the atmosphere where Earth's fledgling space fleet waited. As she flew, the armor fed her tactical information, analyzing the approaching enemy fleet and formulating battle strategies. Samantha knew the odds were stacked against them, but she also knew that humanity had a history of overcoming impossible odds. Breaking through the atmosphere, Samantha found herself facing the vastness of space. In the distance, she could see the enemy ships, their sleek, predatory forms growing larger by the second. "This is Dr. Samantha Chen to all Earth Defense Forces," she broadcast. "Stand ready. We are humanity's last line of defense. No matter what happens, we fight until the end, for Earth." A chorus of affirmations rang through the comm system as Earth's ships moved into formation around her. Samantha took a deep breath, feeling the power of the armor surging through her. The first wave of enemy fighters streaked towards them, energy weapons blazing. Samantha raised her hand, generating a massive energy shield that absorbed the initial barrage. As the shield dissipated, she unleashed a devastating counterattack, her armor's weapons systems firing with pinpoint accuracy. The battle had begun, and with it, the fight for humanity's survival. As Samantha engaged the enemy, pushing her newfound powers to their limits, she couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. The progenitors had chosen humanity for a reason. Now, it was time to prove they had made the right choice. The vastness of space lit up with explosions and energy beams as the two forces clashed. Samantha moved with impossible speed, her armor adapting to each new threat. She was a blur of motion, taking out enemy ships with a combination of advanced weaponry and tactical brilliance. But even as she fought, Samantha knew that this was just the beginning. The real test was yet to come, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. First contact and rising tensions. The initial skirmish in Earth's orbit lasted for hours, a brutal dance of destruction that left both sides reeling. Samantha's incredible abilities, amplified by the alien armor, had given humanity a fighting chance. But as the dust settled and the enemy fleet retreated to regroup, she knew this was merely the opening salvo in a much larger conflict. Exhausted but determined, Samantha returned to Earth's surface, where she was immediately whisked away to a high-security briefing with world leaders and military commanders. The mood in the underground bunker was tense but cautiously optimistic. General Hayes began the meeting, her face etched with worry and fatigue. "Dr. Chen, your performance out there was extraordinary. Thanks to you, we managed to hold the line, but we've lost nearly a third of our space fleet. We need to know what we're up against and what our next move should be." Samantha nodded, the armor retracting from her face as she addressed the room. The invaders call themselves a swarm. They're a collective consciousness spread across millions of drone ships, all controlled by a central hive mind. Their goal is simple: to consume all advanced civilizations, absorbing their technology and resources to fuel their endless expansion. She paused, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. But there's something else. During the battle, I sensed confusion from them. They weren't expecting resistance on this level. We've surprised them, and that gives us an opportunity. A murmur ran through the room. The Chinese premier leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. An opportunity for what exactly? "For diplomacy," Samantha replied, earning shocked looks from many in the room. "I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. The swarm operates on cold logic. If we can convince them that the cost of conquering Earth outweighs the potential gains, we might be able to negotiate." Heated debate erupted, with many arguing that negotiation was foolish, that humanity should press its advantage and strike back hard. But Samantha stood firm, supported by a few level-headed leaders who saw the wisdom in at least attempting a peaceful resolution. Finally, a compromise was reached. Earth would prepare for all-out war, but also attempt to open a channel of communication with the swarm. Samantha, with her unique connection to the alien technology, would serve as humanity's ambassador. The next few days were a flurry of activity. While Earth's remaining military forces fortified their defenses and worked on reverse engineering some of the technology from destroyed swarm ships, Samantha focused on fine-tuning her connection with the armor. Working with Dr. Khalil and a team of Earth's brightest minds, she discovered that the armor could broadcast on frequencies used by the swarm for communication. It was a risk, but it might be their best chance at opening a dialogue. 5 days after the initial attack, Samantha stood alone on the moon's surface, her armor gleaming in the harsh sunlight. With a thought, she activated the communication array, sending out a message on all frequencies. To the collective consciousness known as the Swarm, I am Samantha Chen, representative of Earth and bearer of the progenitor's gift. We seek peaceful communication and mutual understanding. Will you hear us? For long moments, there was only silence. Then suddenly, Samantha's mind was flooded with a cacophony of alien thoughts and sensations. The armor protected her from the worst of it, filtering and translating the overwhelming input into something she could comprehend. A single unified voice emerged from the chaos. We are the Swarm. You possess technology that does not belong to you. Surrender it and your world, and you may be assimilated. Resist, and you will be eradicated. Samantha steeled herself, pushing back against the mental intrusion. We will do neither. The progenitors chose us, saw potential in humanity that you failed to recognize. We offer an alternative, coexistence. There are resources in this system for both our peoples if we work together. The response was immediate and harsh, impossible. The progenitors were flawed. Their belief in cooperation led to their downfall. Only through constant growth and consumption can a species truly thrive. You will submit or be destroyed. With that, the connection was severed, leaving Samantha reeling. She had hoped for better, but at least now they knew the Swarm's intentions without a doubt. As she prepared to return to Earth, her sensors detected massive energy signatures. The Swarm fleet was on the move, and this time they were bringing their full might to bear. Samantha raced back to Earth, her mind racing with plans and strategies. As she entered the atmosphere, she opened a channel to all of Earth's defense forces. This is Dr. Chen. Negotiations have failed. The Swarm is coming, and they're not holding anything back. All forces prepare for imminent attack. This is not just a battle for our lives, but for our very right to exist as a species. Remember your training, trust in each other, and no matter what happens, never give up hope. Earth stands united, now and always. As she finished her transmission, the sky lit up with the arrival of the Swarm's main fleet. Thousands upon thousands of ships, ranging from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, filled Earth's orbit. The sight was terrifying, but Samantha felt a fierce determination rising within her. The armor hummed with energy, responding to her emotions. She realized that this moment, this crucible of fire and destruction, was what the progenitors had prepared her for. Humanity would either prove itself worthy of the cosmic stage or fall into oblivion. As Earth's defenses roared to life and the Swarm began its assault, Samantha launched herself into the fray once more. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and she would fight with every ounce of strength the armor could provide. The battle for Earth had truly begun, and with it, the ultimate test of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and determination. As energy beams crisscrossed the sky and explosions bloomed in silence against the backdrop of space, Samantha allowed herself one final thought before fully immersing herself in the combat. We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. This is our home, and we will defend it to our last breath. With that, she plunged into the heart of the Swarm's formation, a beacon of hope in humanity's darkest hour. Battle for Earth begins. The sky above Earth erupted into a dazzling, terrifying light show as the full might of the Swarm clashed with humanity's desperate defenses. Samantha Chen, encased in her progenitor armor, was a streak of brilliant energy darting between enemy ships, leaving destruction in her wake. Earth's remaining fleet, bolstered by hastily constructed ships utilizing reverse-engineered Swarm technology, fought with a ferocity born of desperation. But for every Swarm ship they destroyed, 3 more seemed to take its place. As Samantha tore through a squadron of enemy fighters, she received an urgent transmission from General Hayes. Chen, we've got a problem. Our long-range sensors have detected a massive energy buildup in the Swarm's flagship. Whatever they're charging, it's big enough to crack the planet. Samantha's blood ran cold. Understood, General. I'm on it. She changed course, pushing the armor to its limits as she rocketed towards the heart of the swarm fleet. The flagship was a behemoth, easily dwarfing anything humanity had ever constructed. As she approached, she could see energy crackling along its hull, building towards what would surely be a catastrophic release. Dr. Carlyle, she called over the comm, I need options. How do I stop this thing? Amir's voice came back, tense but focused. The energy readings are off the charts, Sam. If you can disrupt their main power core, it might cascade through their systems and shut down the weapon. Might. It's the best I've got. Be careful, Sam. The energy density around that ship is like nothing we've ever seen. Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Well, no time like the present to test the limits of this armor. She accelerated towards the flagship, dodging and weaving through a hail of enemy fire. The armor's energy shields flickered and strained under the assault, but held. As she neared the massive ship, she could feel the raw power emanating from it, making her skin tingle even through the armor's protection. With a thought, Samantha activated the armor's phase shift ability, a technology she had only tested in simulations. Her body became intangible, allowing her to pass through the flagship's outer hull like a ghost. Inside, she found herself in a labyrinth of alien machinery, pulsing with otherworldly energy. The armor's sensors guided her towards the ship's core, but she could feel the swarm's collective consciousness pressing against her mind, trying to overwhelm her. You cannot stop us, the voice of the swarm echoed in her head. We are inevitable. We are eternal. Samantha gritted her teeth, pushing back against the mental assault. Maybe so, she muttered, but today you've met your match. She reached the core chamber, a vast spherical room dominated by a pulsating orb of pure energy. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Samantha knew she had only moments before the weapon reached full charge. Drawing on every ounce of power the armor could provide, she formed a lance of concentrated energy in her hand. With a primal scream, she hurled it at the core. The lance struck true, piercing the energy sphere. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing apart, the core began to implode. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems went haywire. Samantha didn't wait to see the results of her handiwork. She turned and flew back the way she came, facing through walls and bulkheads in her rush to escape. She'd burst out of the flagship just as it began to break apart. The destruction of the core had set off a chain reaction, causing the massive ship to tear itself to pieces. As Samantha put distance between herself and the disintegrating flagship, she opened a channel to Earth's forces. This is Chen. The swarm's main weapon is down. Press the attack. A ragged cheer went up across the human fleet. With renewed vigor, Earth's defenders surged forward, taking advantage of the chaos in the swarm's ranks. But the battle was far from over. Though their flagship was destroyed, the swarm still outnumbered Earth's forces by a significant margin, and now they were angry. Samantha found herself at the center of a furious counterattack. Hundreds of swarm ships converged on her position, their weapons blazing. Her armor's shields were failing, and she could feel exhaustion setting in. Just as it seemed she would be overwhelmed, a familiar voice crackled over her comm. Hang on, Sam. The cavalry's arrived. A barrage of missiles streaked past her, obliterating the swarm ships on her tail. Samantha looked up to see a patchwork fleet of ships entering the fray. Some were clearly of Earth origin, while others... Are those alien ships? She gasped. Affirmative, came General Hayes' voice. Seems your little light show caught some attention. We've got ships arriving from all over the sector. Seems Earth isn't the only planet the swarm's been terrorizing. For the first time since the battle began, Samantha felt a genuine spark of hope. With these reinforcements, they might actually have a chance. The tide of battle began to turn. The Allied fleet, though hastily assembled, fought with coordination that suggested long-standing cooperation. Samantha found herself fighting alongside beings she had never imagined. crystalline entities that fired beams of pure light, organic ships that seemed to be alive, and machines that moved with impossible grace. As the hours wore on, the swarm's numerical advantage began to wane. Without their flagship and main weapon, their tactics became increasingly erratic. Samantha, working in concert with the alien allies, led strike after strike against key targets in the swarm fleet. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of combat, the remaining swarm ships began to retreat. A tentative cheer went up among the Earth forces, quickly spreading to their alien allies. Exhausted but elated, Samantha allowed herself a moment of relief. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. But as she looked out at the devastation around Earth's orbit, the debris of countless ships, both friend and foe, she knew that this was only the beginning. The swarm might be defeated for now, but they would be back. And there was a whole galaxy out there, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. As she turned her gaze back to the blue marble of Earth, Samantha made a silent vow. Humanity had proven itself worthy of the progenitor's gift. Now, it was time for them to take their place among the stars, not just as survivors, but as protectors. The battle for Earth was over, but humanity's journey to the cosmos had just begun, uncovering the alien agenda. In the days following the battle, Earth was a planet transformed. The sight of alien ships peacefully orbiting alongside human vessels had changed humanity's perspective forever. As the immediate threat of the swarm receded, Samantha found herself thrust into a new role, diplomat to the stars. The United Earth government had hastily constructed a space station to serve as a neutral meeting ground for humanity and their new alien allies. It was here, aboard the aptly named Unity Station, that Samantha stood, gazing out at the assembled fleet of diverse alien ships. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" Dr. Khalil said, joining her at the viewport. "A week ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now look at us." Samantha nodded, her armor retracting to reveal a tired smile. "It's incredible, Amoya. But I can't help feeling like we've only scratched the surface of what's out there." Before Amoya could respond, an aide approached them. "Dr. Chen, the council is ready for you." Taking a deep breath, Samantha followed the aide to the station's main conference room. Inside, she found an assembly that would have been unimaginable mere days ago. Representatives from a dozen alien species sat around a large, circular table, with General Hayes and other human leaders interspersed among them. As Samantha took her seat, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin stood up. "I am Zalthara of the Luminary Collective," it said, its voice melodious and otherworldly. "On behalf of the Galactic Concordat, I welcome humanity to the greater community of spacefaring civilizations." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. Samantha leaned forward, intrigued. "Thank you, Zalthara. But I have to ask, why now? Why did you come to our aid against the swarm?" A being that looked like a sentient crystal formation chimed in, its voice resonating through the room. "The activation of your progenitor armor sent ripples through the fabric of space-time. It was a beacon we could not ignore." The progenitors were the forerunners of our civilizations, added a reptilian creature with multifaceted eyes. They seeded the galaxy with their technology, hoping to create a network of allied species that could stand against threats like the swarm. Samantha absorbed this information, her mind racing. But the swarm said the progenitors were destroyed, that their belief in cooperation led to their downfall. Zolthara's expression darkened. "The swarm lies. They are a perversion of the progenitor's work, an experiment in collective consciousness that went horribly wrong. The progenitors sacrificed themselves to contain the swarm, but could not destroy them entirely." "So the armor," Samantha said, glancing down at her hand where the alien technology hummed beneath her skin, "it's more than just a weapon, isn't it?" The crystalline being's facets shimmered in what might have been a nod. "It is a key to unlocking the full potential of the progenitor's legacy, but it requires a species worthy of wielding it." General Hayes leaned forward, her eyes narrow. and you believe humanity is worthy. You have proven yourselves in combat against the swarm, the reptilian creature said. But that was merely the first test. The true challenges lie ahead. Samantha felt a weight settling on her shoulders. What challenges? What exactly are we facing? Zolfera waved a hand, and a holographic map of the galaxy sprang to life above the table. The swarm you faced was but a fraction of their total force. They have consumed countless civilizations, growing stronger with each conquest. But they are not the only threat. The map zoomed in on various sectors, highlighting strange anomalies and ominous-looking structures. There are ancient weapons of unimaginable power scattered throughout the galaxy, remnants of long-dead civilizations that could spell doom for us all if they fall into the wrong hands. And there are other forces at work, beings of pure energy, sentient black holes, and horrors from beyond the edges of known space. As Samantha and the human representatives stared at the map in a mixture of awe and trepidation, the crystalline being spoke again. The progenitors believed that only through unity and cooperation could these threats be overcome. That is why they created the armor, to find species with the potential to lead this alliance. Lead? Samantha asked, surprised. But we're newcomers to all of this. Surely one of your species would be better suited. Zolfera shook its head. The armor chose you, Samantha Chen, and through you, it chose humanity. Your species possesses a unique combination of traits, adaptability, creativity, determination, that the progenitors valued highly. General Hayes stood up, her face a mask of determination. So what happens now? What do you need from us? The alien representatives exchanged glances before Zalthara spoke again. We offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Concordat. But more than that, we ask you to take up the mantle the progenitors left behind, to become the guardians of this galaxy, and to lead us in the battles to come. Samantha felt the weight of every eye in the room upon her. She looked down at her hands, where the armor rippled just beneath her skin, then back up at the assembled representatives of a galaxy she was only beginning to understand. We accept, she said, her voice steady and clear. Humanity will stand with you. We will fight to protect this galaxy and all who call it home. A chorus of approvals echoed through the room. As the meeting adjourned and plans began to form for humanity's integration into the galactic community, Samantha stood at the viewport once more, gazing out at the stars. The universe had just become infinitely larger and more complex than she had ever imagined. But as she felt the power of the progenitor armor thrumming through her, Samantha knew that humanity was ready for the challenge. Their journey to the stars had only just begun, and the greatest adventures and greatest dangers still lay ahead. Humanity's stand and victory. In the months following Earth's induction into the Galactic Concordat, humanity underwent a transformation unlike anything in its history. The exchange of knowledge and technology with their alien allies accelerated human development by centuries in a matter of weeks. Samantha Chen found herself at the center of this whirlwind of progress. As the bearer of the progenitor armor, she became not just Earth's representative to the stars, but a symbol of hope for the entire galaxy. Under her guidance, and with the help of their new allies, humanity began to unlock the full potential of the progenitor technology. Cities in the sky began to dot Earth's landscape, pollution vanished as clean energy became abundant, and the first true faster-than-light ships were constructed in orbit. But even as humanity reached for the stars, the threat of the swarm loomed large. Intelligence from across the galaxy painted a grim picture. The swarm was regrouping, consuming entire star systems as it prepared for a final, devastating assault on the heart of the Concordat. On a crisp autumn morning, 5 years after the first battle for Earth, Samantha stood before the United Earth Council and the assembled representatives of the Galactic Concordat. The time has come, she said, her voice carrying the weight of command. We've prepared, we've trained, we've united. Now we take the fight to the swarm. The plan was audacious, using the progenitor armor as a template, Earth and its allies had created a fleet of ships that could interface directly with their pilots, much like Samantha's symbiosis with her armor. These ships, faster and more maneuverable than anything the swarm had encountered, would form the spearhead of their assault. But the true key to victory lay in the heart of swarm territory. The Concordat's deep space probes had discovered the source of the swarm's power, a massive artificial construct that served as both their homeworld and the nexus of their hive mind. If we can destroy that construct, Samantha explained, we can break the swarm once and for all. The journey to the edge of known space was tense. The combined fleet of the Concordat, a dazzling array of ships from 100 different species, moved in formation, with Earth's progenitor-class vessels at the fore. As they approached the swarm's home system, Samantha felt a familiar pressure in her mind. The swarm was aware of their presence. "All ships, battle stations," she commanded. "This is it. Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment." The void of space erupted into chaos as the two forces clashed. The swarm's numbers were staggering, a writhing mass of ships that seemed to blot out the stars themselves. But the Concordat fought with a unity of purpose that the swarm couldn't match. Samantha led from the front, her ship, an extension of her armor and herself, dancing through the battlefield with impossible grace. She coordinated the fleet's movements, directing strikes and plugging gaps in their defenses. Hours stretched into days as the battle raged across the star system. Losses mounted on both sides, but slowly, inexorably, the Concordat pushed towards a swarm's central construct. As they neared their goal, Samantha felt the pressure in her mind intensify. The swarm was throwing everything it had at them, desperate to protect its core. "This is Chen to all ships," she broadcast. "We're going in. Cover us." With a hand-picked team of the best pilots from across the Concordat, Samantha led the final assault on the swarm construct. They dodged and weaved through a maelstrom of enemy fire, their ships moving in perfect synchronization. As they penetrated the outer defenses, Samantha's sensors detected a massive energy buildup at the heart of the construct. "They're trying to jump away," she realized. "We need to end this now." In that moment, Samantha made a decision. She opened her mind fully to the progenitor armor, allowing its consciousness to merge completely with her own. Knowledge and power beyond imagining flooded through her. "All ships, fall back," she ordered. "I'm going in alone." Ignoring the protests of her allies, Samantha pushed her ship to its limits, streaking towards the core of the swarm construct. As she flew, the ship began to change, the progenitor technology responding to her will and the desperate need of the moment. By the time she reached the central chamber, Samantha's ship had transformed into a colossal energy being, a manifestation of the progenitor's power unlike anything the galaxy had seen in eons. The swarm's collective consciousness lashed out at her, a psychic assault of unimaginable force. But Samantha stood firm, drawing on the strength of not just the progenitors, but of every species in the Concordat, of humanity's indomitable spirit. "You sought to consume the galaxy," she said, her voice resonating through space itself. "But you forgot one thing. Life doesn't just consume. It adapts, it grows, it unites." With a thought, she released the full power of the progenitor technology. A wave of energy exploded outward, washing over the swarm construct and spreading to every swarm ship in the system. For a moment, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Then, one by one, the swarm ships went dark. The psychic pressure that had permeated the battlefield vanished. As the energy dissipated, Samantha found herself back in her original form, floating amidst the debris of the swarm construct. She opened a comm channel, her voice weak but triumphant. "This is Chen. It's over. We've won." The celebration that erupted across the Concordat fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Species that had been mortal enemies mere years ago embraced as brothers. And at the center of it all was humanity, the newcomers who had turned the tide. In the years that followed, the galaxy entered a new golden age. With the swarm defeated, the Concordat turned its attention to exploration, to unlocking the mysteries of the universe. Samantha Chen, hailed as the hero of the galaxy, didn't rest on her laurels. There were still threats out there, still wonders to discover. But now, humanity faced the future not alone, but as part of a grand alliance, bound together by shared struggle and shared hope. As she stood on the bridge of a new exploration vessel, preparing to venture into uncharted space, Samantha smiled. The progenitors had been right to put their faith in unity, in cooperation. And humanity, with all its flaws and all its potential, had proven worthy of that faith. The stars beckoned, and this time, all of Earth answered the call together.